I'm your host, Noah Love, and today we will be talking mostly things NBA. We talking about the NBA playoff race last night. Home court was clinched for one team. If you watch the NBA, you know which one. Some interesting results happen. The Western Conference, it's still insane, but we'll have a bit more clarity. 2 days left in the regular season. Thursday was crazy. We'll also be talking about Cam Ward to the Titans. That's pretty much a done deal. We'll be talking about the Timberwolves week. They're confusing. We'll be talking about who in the East do I think can beat the Celtics. We'll also be talking about Devin Booker. The Suns have been eliminated for playoff contention. Should Devin Booker request a trade? Because looking at this roster, oh my goodness. Also, Kevin Durant may be traded as well. We'll get into that. We'll also get into the Nuggets firing Michael Malone, and we will also get into Luka in his return to Dallas. All right, let's get into it. Let's just start with a little NFL though. The Cam Ward to the Titans. The Titans, they declined to do anymore. They canceled everything with Shador, so it's pretty much set in stone. They love Cam Ward. They're gonna pick him. It looks like. They're gonna pick him at one, which which I think. Look, it's the smart thing. I say him or Shador are the move. It's the move. Cam Ward, look, he's what? He's what? 6 foot, 6 foot one. He's about 6'1", 6'2", 223 pounds. If you watched him in college, that nonchalant stuff, well, that's not going to fly in the NFL. But I think part of that was just how good Miami's O-line was. Has a good arm, has good accuracy, very mobile, can move, has a pretty good football IQ. I think Shador will be better. Personally, they're about the same size. Shador doesn't have the greatest arm, but has very good accuracy, has played behind the bat on O-line, and has managed to stay alive. Very good in the pocket, can move, can make throws outside of the pocket. At Colorado, a lot of his snaps, when you look at the film, a lot of his snaps were a wash because the Colorado's O-line was so bad. It doesn't matter how bad or how good you are at quarterback. I should say how good you are at quarterback. You weren't surviving that. So that's probably about, I say, 70% of the snaps. And then the other 30% of the snaps, you're gonna look at the tape and you're gonna like what you see. There are some throws where you're like, what are you doing, Shador? There are some decisions where you're like, you got lucky. But for the most part, Shador, look, he didn't throw at the combine, threw at the pro day. I think Shador is going to be a really good pro. But back to Cam, I think Cam is going to be a pretty good pro. A lot of people are saying this is a 2-quarterback draft. It could be that. Look, it depends on what happens with Jackson Dart and the quarterback from Louisville. It depends on how they turn out. I'm seeing a lot of things where Shador's falling. Like I think it was Mel Kiper asked Shador at 9 going to New Orleans. Shador falling. First of all, New York not taking Shador would be disastrous. Why would you not take him? Cleveland taking Shador would be disastrous. New England is, if they can get Travis, fine. Because I think if Shador's not there, or if Cam's not there, but like I said, pretty sure Cam's going to the Titans. If one of the two are not there, the Giants will take somebody else, and the Patriots are hoping to get Travis Hunter. But I think Cam is the right move for Tennessee. He's going to be the day one starter. Look, he's going to start before Will Levis. He's going to be the day one starter, 22 years old. He's going to have the pressure. Hopefully they don't put unrealistic pressure on him because the roster isn't great in Tennessee. Hopefully Brian Callahan, this is his guy. Year two of his tenure. Will Cam mold into something special with Tennessee? We'll see. I do like the fact that he'll have a 1,000-yard back in the backfield, Tony Pollard. He'll have that to lean on. His O-line it's not great, but it's decent. I think his weapons are okay. In terms of, you got Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, you got Ridley, you got Boyd. I think Cam Ward to go into Tennessee I think he'll be all right. I think he'll be okay. Now, let's get into the NBA playoffs race. The NBA playoffs start April 19th. The NBA play-in starts April 15th, which is next Tuesday. Some key results over the week. Let's start on Wednesday. Yeah, let's start on Wednesday. On Wednesday, Orlando beat Boston, but Boston, they're locked in the 2. So they're resting everybody. Orlando's still playing for something. Obviously, Lakers beat Mavs, which I will get into in a minute. We'll talk about it in a minute. Chicago beat Miami 119-111. That's big because of the play-in, the 9-10 game, and also you could potentially move up to 8, whereas you will have 2 games instead of 1, depending if you lose. San Antonio upset Golden State. That one was big. That was a big one because that moved Golden State temporarily down to the play-in. OKC eliminated Phoenix. Denver, who fired their coach Mike Malone, which I will get into in a second. And the Clippers beat Houston, but Houston, they're locked into 2, so why are they going to play anybody? No. Clippers have been playing fantastic. But let's kind of get in here to Michael Malone firing. Michael Malone fired by the Denver Nuggets. What in the heck is going on? Apparently, the Nuggets fire Michael Malone because the atmosphere, it was bad. It said everybody in the organization was miserable in the locker room. They fired they didn't extend the GM, so the GM was going to be gone. They didn't like how after the championship, the way the GM really built the team, and the head coach and GM were butting heads, and Nuggets for owner, who's brain dead, says, look, we're going to get rid of both of them. I don't understand how you can fire Michael Malone after he just won the championship in 2023. I do not, for the life of me, understand how you can sit up there and fire a guy who holds people accountable. I just don't get. And Michael Malone, he'll get another job, but it couldn't. In the 4-game skid, by the way, they're like 4th in the West, so it made made no sense at the time. It still makes no sense. I'm looking at it from this perspective. He's number one in pretty much every head coaching category. So he basically is your best coach of franchise history, longest 10-year coach. Had the job for 10 years. The reason they've been struggling is because their second best player has been out for it's got to be a month. And he's been out for a while. Gordon missed a couple of games. Porter, heck, Jokic in the month of March missed, I believe, a game or two. They've been dealing with injuries. And then there was a report that came out about they were disagreeing on how ownership was mad because they were playing Russell Westbrook over Jalen Pickett. What? Westbrook has been good this year. I don't know what ownership is looking at, but he's been good this year. You really came into the season thinking Westbrook wasn't going to play over Jalen Pickett? Westbrook was playing really well too. It was like, should Westbrook? There was a conversation with Nuggets fans. Should Westbrook be starting? Or at least that's how I looked at it. Apparently, a new report came out as well saying Denver nearly fired Michael Malone and Calvin Booth at All-Star break, but winning streak postponed the move. So he's been on. So look, Booth, you kind of knew when they didn't extend his contract, he was gone. But Malone being gone as well, they're brain dead. Who are you going to get that's a better coach immediately than Mike Malone? You got to have somebody in mind. And you do it, and it's not like, okay, you're going to be out of the playoffs. Like, if Phoenix did this, okay. That makes it. Denver, you're going to be in the playoffs. You're playing for a chance. You have a roster that's good enough to potentially go and compete for a championship. And you fire them now? Now, they beat the Kings 124-116 right at the day after the firing because they fired them on Tuesday. But this just doesn't make any sense to me still. You couldn't wait? Like, bro, with at that time, what, 4 games left in the regular season? Now I believe it, or 3 games left. Now it's 2. You fire him. That's not, no. It doesn't make any sense. It will never make any sense. And that's just my thoughts on it. Michael Malone should not have been fired at that point of the season. If you go fire him, like the report just came out, I just read talking about firing him at All-Star break. Sure, fire him at All-Star break. But you fire him now? Bruh. Apparently, Jokic understood the decision. It is what it is at this point. Nuggets aren't going to win anything. So now they're not. I mean, they still have Jokic and co, but look, that second round matchup versus OKC, potentially not looking great for him. Let's talk about the other big storyline, which was Luka's return on Wednesday night to Dallas. Nico Harrison I can't believe he has a job. I'm recording this at 3:35 p.m. Nico Harrison should be gone before the top of the hour. He should be gone. There is no reason. There is nothing that he can do to fix this. There's nothing. Luka Doncic dropped 45. Mavs fans were cheering Luka pretty much the entire game. Every basket he hit, they were cheering. The video tribute, Luka was in tears because he didn't want to leave Dallas. Dallas was his home. These people took him in and said, Luka, this is your new home. They just made the NBA Finals. The overall team morale and chemistry was up here. Again, last season, they made the Western Conference Finals. They made the NBA freaking Finals. And Nico Harrison broke all that up. I can't tell you. In terms of the actual game, look, Mavs, they did a good job of fighting, but they just didn't have enough. Anthony Davis and the way they played him in terms of doubling and stuff was great. But yeah, dropping 45. And Doncic, when he had like three, I think it might have been 2 or 3 threes in the first quarter, you said, uh-oh. And Mavs fans are so pissed at Nico. Fire Nico. And Mark Cuban's got his like hands, his hands in his face. I'm like, bro, can you blame them? Can we honestly sit here and blame the Mavs fans? Nico traded away a generational talent. He was gonna have a statue. He was on the trajectory today. He was gonna have a statue. How do the Lakers keep getting away with these big trades, by the way, in terms of getting stars? But that's a topic for another day. You're supposed to have a statue. And now depending on how it goes in LA, if he wins like 3-4 championships, he's going to have a statue. Not in Dallas, but in LA. Nico Harrison should not make, once that playing game is over, should be gone. I don't care what you tell me. The move was stupid. And also, look, the move was going to be stupid no matter what. You didn't even get Austin Reeves in the deal. You didn't get Dalton Kennett. You got Anthony Davis in the deal, which AD's great, but you got nothing for the future. You're saying, okay, immediately there's a 3-year window here. Okay, well, I guess half of this year's basically a wash because, well, Kyrie's hurt. AD was hurt for a time. PJ Washington was hurt. Lively was hurt. Gaffer was hurt. I mean, my gosh. And now, okay, yeah, they're in the play-in, but they're probably going to be eliminated by Sacramento. They're going to have to go on the road. They'll probably get eliminated by Sacramento. And then they go into an offseason where they're going to be in the lottery. And what happens if they get around the 12th or 13th pick? Oh, that's just great. They're screwed. They're almost screwed. If they somehow win 2 games and make the playoffs and get swept by OKC, even more screwed because now your pick's not in the lottery. Lakers, one more win and they clinched the 3 seed. They've clinched a top 6 playoff spot with the win. That was all about Luka, and Luka played his butt off, and they won the game. Good for Luka. Cavs locked up the 1 seed. Obviously, we know that. They're looking to make an appearance back into the conference finals and maybe even the finals. I say conference finals because, well, don't know about the Celtics. Speaking of the Celtics, who can beat the Celtics? I don't think New York can. I know New York played them tough on Tuesday night. I just don't think they can. with the way Porzingis played, I don't think they can. Jaylen Brown didn't even play good, and they still beat them. And that was the best the Knicks have played against the Celtics all year. I don't think the Knicks have enough depth. I think they'll get worn down. I think they're too reliant on Brunson and Cat. I think the Celtics, when they're moving the ball around, they're almost impossible to beat. I think they're going to have the two best players on the floor. I think Tatum and Brown are going to be the two best players on the floor. And I just don't think they can beat them in the series. Cleveland interests me because the way, obviously, the Celtics are going to have two of the three best players. I think Mitchell may just edge out Brown. They're gonna have two of the three best players on the floor. It'll be interesting because they got the Cleveland's got the links. The Celtics play small because they got Tim at the 4, the offensive rebounding and all that. The bench, Cleveland's got the best bench in the league, arguably. So could they wear the Celtics down? Maybe, potentially, depends. Celtics are going to have to bring. The game will be interesting. The series will be interesting. What the Cavs can't do is they can't do this. Oh, Mitchell, we're deferring to you every time down. They did that last season, and they got bounced in 5, and Orlando took them 7. Can't do that. Mitchell, okay, when it's time, when it's 2 minute, when it's fourth quarter, okay, Mitchell, let's go. It's time. But Garland's going to need to be getting off the bounce, getting into the lane. Garland's going to have to. If Garland plays like bad, they have no shot in that series. You're going to need him to play well, Mobley. I think DeAndre Hunter really makes them different coming off the bench. His ability to shoot the 3, his ability to mid-range, he can get you on the block. He's just so strong down there. His ability to defend. I think DeAndre Hunter's going to be a big piece in that series. Jared Allen's got to play against Porzingis. He's got to play. And if Jared Allen plays well, they have a shot. To me, if Porzingis plays well along or elite, I should say that. If Porzingis plays elite along with Tatum and Brown, they're unstoppable. Nobody beating them. With that being said, the home court for Boston, it doesn't mean that much because their road record is like 33-8. And for Cleveland, it means much because, look, if it comes down to a game 7, you're in terms of lack of championship experience, you're going to need it in your building. The Celtics been through the ringer in the East, and then they've won they've been through the ringer. They know what it takes to win on the road, at home. They know. So for Celtics, I'm not worried about that. For Cavs, the 1 seed, that was big for them to get. I think the Cavs, so I really believe in the Cavs this year. I think the Cavs I wouldn't be surprised if Cavs and Celtics go 7. But also, I put the Celtics here in the Cavs, like around right here. For the Cavs, it's really about show me. Show me you're elite. Show me you can get it done in the playoffs. Regular season, that's great. There have been teams that have great regular seasons, and when we get to the playoffs, or deer headlights, and they get boat race. Is that you, or are you different from that? That's a question obviously you'd want to pose. Also, a team that I think could potentially even beat them, the Indiana Pacers. Now, hear me out about the Indiana Pacers. The Indiana Pacers play a style and a brand of basketball that for Boston, it's really difficult. The way they move the ball, the way they get up and down. Their defense has been better this year than last year. Tyrese Halliburton is playing at an all-NBA level right now. Siakam really good and on the block. Remember last year, you could have made the argument, look, they had them in games 1, 3, and 4, and they let them all slip. Game 1, you can't inbound the ball. Game 3, you don't have a closer because Halliburton's hurt. Same thing with Game 4. I believe, in my personal opinion, that with the experience that they have now gained, if now the way it looks, it will look like, look, if Indiana, if they could somehow get past Cleveland, which would be a tough task, that's a matchup where I would not be surprised if that's a 6 or 7 game series. I really think Indiana could push Boston to that point, and I actually think Indiana potentially could beat Boston. Now, one thing to mention, there was no Porzingis in that series. That is one thing to mention. Porzingis changes the dynamic of their team, no doubt. But I really think both teams playing at their best ball, I think Indiana's got a chance. I really believe that. Now, who am I picking to come out the East? Celtics. It's Celtics. I think Celtics are going to come out again. But I would not be shocked if Indiana got them or if obviously Cleveland got them. Again, Cleveland, and this is everybody's mentality, more of a show me. Because we've seen this, a team has a great regular season, but then they start to struggle a little bit in playoffs, and then they go against a team they're trying to dethrone, and the team just they're trying to drone this disbands. Like if Boston comes out, say that's the conference finals, and if Boston it comes out and smokes these dudes in 5 games, but you're gonna be like, whoa. Well, I'm not gonna be like, whoa, but it's gonna be like Cleveland, not gonna lie. And then it's gonna come fraud watch, all that. You weren't real, you're not built for this, all that other stuff. But I do think Cleveland looking at the roster top to bottom and looking at the games but I think Cleveland will have a legit shot. I really do. And with the Pacers as well. Now, let's go in terms of, just real quick, Devin Booker. Should Devin Booker request a trade? Yes. This is the work. People are saying this is a super team fail. Nah, wasn't. The Beal trade has blew up massively in their face. Fire Frank Vogel, and then the championship coach, another championship coach you bring in is probably about to get fired because the team stinks. They're out. It's over. It's not really Budenholzer's fault. The lack of depth hurt them again. They tried to get a true point guard in Tyus Jones. You've had Durant injured multiple times this season. Devin Booker's basically just out here trying to put the team on his back. Again, Bradley Beal has not. They've tried everything. They started him. They put him on the bench. He's just hurting them. They can't not play him. They have no picks until 2031. Yes, so in the next 6 years they have no first round picks. So basically, unless they make a trade to get some picks, they are screwed. If I'm Devin Booker, I see this situation getting worse before I see it getting better. But like his age, I think he's like 29 years, 28, 29. Devin Booker's 28 years old in the prime of his career. So if you really think about this, he's 28. They're about to go into a rebuild. Let's say the rebuild takes 3-4 years. He would have to wait till the back half/end of his prime. So he would have to wait till he's 32 years old to play winning basketball again. Not even championship basketball, just winning basketball. gang. I can't see. Nah. Mm-mm. Nah. This is basically a Dame Lillard situation all over again. Devin Booker, look, just doesn't matter where you go, somebody will want you, request a trade, get out while you can, so you can go and potentially get that ring. He won. Look, Phoenix will look. I'd love to see D Book win a ring in Phoenix, but the way the organization has handled Pat since really 2022, the way they've handled the way they made moves have not been good. They broke up the core of him, Paul, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Aiden. The team that made the finals broke up that core. Then you got Paul and Durant. That with Book, that doesn't really work. Okay, no Paul, but we're gonna bring in Bradley Beal. You get swept by Minnesota, and now you're out of the like. If I'm Booker, if I'm Booker, there's a legit case to get out, and I think he should look into that. Honestly, getting out. Let's look at the standings here, though, for the NBA playoffs. The East, the 1 seed Cavs, we talked about that. They locked it up. 2 seed Celtics locked it up. 3 seed, the Knicks have not locked up the 3 seed. If they win their last two, they lock it up. 4, Indiana Pacers. By the way, Indiana's on 6-game win streak, 8-2 in their last 10. They won against Cleveland last night to lock up home court. They're locked into the 4 seed. Can move up to 3. Milwaukee and Detroit play 2 meaningful games tonight and Sunday. If the Bucks beat the Pistons tonight, the Bucks are the 5 seed. If the Bucks beats the Pistons tonight, the Bucks are the 5 seed. If the Pistons beat the Bucks tonight and Sunday, the Pistons are the 5. In terms of the play-in, or obviously the play-in set, Orlando, Atlanta, Miami, is Chicago. They're just trying to see who plays who. It's looking like Orlando's going to be the 7 and have 2 games, or at least 1 game if they win it, 1 game at home to get in. It's looking like Chicago and Miami are on a collision course for like the 3rd straight year, I believe. Hawks, Bulls, and Heat, they've been playing like 5 or 6 straight years. It's crazy. In terms of the West, things are crazier. Thunder, 1 seed. Houston, 2 seed, locked into it. The Lakers are locked into the playoffs, but not the 3 seed. And then everything else is up for grab. From 4 through 8, it's separated by a game. 3 through 8, it's separated by 2 games. The Kings and the Mavs are playing bound. They're going to play each other in the play. That's going to be the matchup. It's just a matter of, is it in Dallas or in Sacktown? Outside of that, the play-in, Minnesota, they had a tough loss against Milwaukee where they blew the lead, and I'm thinking that's probably going to seal their fate potentially in the play-in. They beat Memphis last night. That Golden State lost to San Antonio. Golden State caught a break by Memphis losing, so Golden State slides to 6. That Golden State Warriors and Clippers game on Sunday will have huge implications because depending on results, both could be top 6 or one could drop. The Nuggets play the Grizzlies tonight in a massive game. Look, if the Grizzlies lose, they're most likely playing bound. If they win, things get interesting depending on if the Warriors win, depending on what the Clippers do. Things get very interesting in the Western Conference. Tonight, the Clippers are at Sacramento. That's not going to be an easy game. Sacramento, they're fighting for something as well. That's not going to be an easy game. Let's see here. All 30 teams are in action. Obviously, Golden State beats Portland if Golden State wins out. Pretty sure they're going to be in the top 6. Memphis at Denver, like we said, that's going to be a big game tonight at 9 o'clock. Cleveland and New York. Look, New York, they got to win it, obviously. If you want to be 3 seed. Indiana and Orlando. Indiana's probably going to rest their starters. That's probably what's going to happen. And Orlando, they're not, because they're obviously playing for something. Houston and LA. LA's not going to rest their starters because they have nothing locked up. They're playing for something. And then apparently there are no games on Saturday. Yeah, there are no games on Saturday. There are no games on Saturday, but Sunday is when all 30 teams wrap up. Orlando plays at Atlanta. That potentially that'll be a big game because they'll probably see each other in the play-in potentially, depending on the result. I mean, it obviously depends on the results of with Bulls Heat. Atlanta may slide, but that's going to be big on Sunday. Detroit and Milwaukee, depending on the result tonight. Remember, if Detroit wins that tonight, that game will be for the number 5 seed. If Milwaukee wins, they get the 5. And they'll either have New York or Indiana. Most likely New York, because I don't think Indiana's going to play anybody the last 2 games of the season. Denver at Houston. I mean, look, Houston's not playing anybody, but Denver, obviously, they're fighting for something. Dallas at Memphis. Both teams will play people because Memphis trying not to be in the play-in. Dallas, they're trying to get geared up for the play-in. Minnesota at Utah. Look, it's basically just Minnesota playing to try to get out of the play-in as well. The biggest one, though, is the Clippers at Golden State. Depending on the result, that's basically a play. Look, the playoffs have come early for the Western Conference. Let's be real about it. It has. And so it's going to be interesting how this NBA playoff race shakes out, and I cannot wait to see how it all unfolds. The drama is building. All right, this has been an episode of the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. I have been your host, Noah Love, and until next time, see ya.